Go on then. This is the bit you need to talk.
Oh, this is the bit I need to talk. So today we're going to talk about music in ancient Egypt, or representations of music in ancient Egypt, and we're going to talk about Rage Against the Machine then, obviously, and why they were found to be in bad taste, ancient Greek war music, and why experimental electronic music pioneers thought they were playing ancient Egyptian celestial music.
You're listening to the Beat Motel podcast, and we need to warn you that we like to use words like fuck, shit, and syndicalus, scrotix, angry flap, and biscuits.
What happens now?
You're the host.
Just keep going. Oh, yeah, right.
You'll have to let me know which tracks to play. Go on. Let's do it.
Okay. So, when was ancient Egypt, Andrew?
When was it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 10,000 years ago till a couple of weeks ago. No, until medieval time?
It's that. No, but you're not crazy off. And where was it?
Now, it sounds like a typical Sam trick question, this, because Egypt probably was in South America. No, Egypt was probably, the borders must have been different. There's no way it could have the same borders as it has now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I got a bit confused. There's so much about ancient Egypt, and there's so much disagreement and different ways of understanding when things happened and what happened and so on and so forth. But basically, roughly around 5,000 years ago, 3,150 BC, before cake.
I was going to say condoms. I prefer cake. No, because the Egyptians did have condoms. They were made out of papyrus. Sorry, that was an accidental fact. Egypt fact. I won't give you any more.
But did they have cake?
Would you get paper cuts from a papyrus condom?
There would be papyrus cuts.
Sorry, carry
on. It was when, and you should know this. Let's say it together. When Upper and Lower Egypt were joined by Menzies. Menes. I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name.
They used to Menes. Menes, not John Menzies, the
no. And it was until roughly around 30 BC when the Roman Empire took over. But basically, it was 3,000 and a bit years of history.
Mm. It's a fair old whack, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, do you know how many different like kingdoms and dynasties we're talking about?
Absolutely no idea. I'm going to have a guess though. Did the dynasty change? Was that families? So like Stuarts, like Stuarts and the other lads in Tudor history.
I don't think so. But basically, you have the early dynastic period, Old Kingdom, first intermediate period. So the early dynastic period, 282 years. Old Kingdom is 500 years. This is like basically then you get these intermediate periods, and these intermediate periods basically means when the empire sort of disintegrated a bit, and then someone came back and put it back together. Then that lasted for 400 years, and then you get the second intermediate period. That's 156 years. I mean, you can only really call it intermediate period. It's not, when you're in it, it's not an intermediate period. At the moment, who knows? We could be in an intermediate period of like the British Empire, and it comes back in about 200 years, and some historian in 3,000 distant in a year, in 3,000 years just goes, "Oh, that was a bit of an intermediate period. That's what we'll call it."
I remember the intermediate. No, you wouldn't remember it because it'd be something that happened. We talked about a long time after, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Unless you're really old, then you could say, "I remember." Do you think back to any parts of your life, Dr. Sam, that you think that was an intermediate period? Such an old use of language.
No, I mean that's it. Like they all seem important at the time, so.
Just got to say, I didn't realise I hadn't flicked a special switch in the software, so you didn't hear the disclaimer at the beginning. So you were probably wondering why I was just staring at you blankly. But we'll move.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's me. I was going, "What's happening?"
Oh, so well, I was just enjoying the disclaimer.
So, what do you think? So, anyway, so 3,000 years of history ends with Alexander the Great. You'll have heard him. He was into books and
Had a library,
and what do you think they sounded like?
What, the accent, the voices?
Music, the music of. Do you think it was all?
It always makes me think, well, what instruments would they have had? So
Yeah,
beats have been a thing since the dawn of time, because all you
yeah,
do is hit something. Or you can have children, and then you hear your children hit every fucking thing in your house against each other.
yeah.
But tubes, I always think tubes must be the next thing as an instrument.
There
So
were there
flutes and
were
whistles.
there were horns found in one of the crypts, and people have actually played them. You can actually find recordings of people playing them, but we don't we but the recording I heard of it was played by the London something like the BBC Symphony Orchestra's like flugel player.
Right?
So he played it in the same way he would play a flugel. Like we have no
What,
idea how they
in a
actually,
suit?
we have no idea how they would actually they would have actually sounded. Um, which is sort of brings us to the question. But there are some people who claim there are traditions that go back into ancient Egypt that continue on today, and we'll get into this. Um, but this is always interesting. Like, so I'm a big fan of Wikipedia. I think it's the best of the internet for the most part, and the only place, the place where you should start a lot of research.
It's like a modern Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, but the the intro for the music on ancient Egypt was crap. It's very broad and it has no tight specifics, and there's no referencing until the third paragraph. The first sentence is meaningless. The first sentence is music has been integral to Egyptian culture since antiquity.
That's like saying sunlight has been a part of the world since the world.
Yeah. And then the instruments described in the Bible have been played by the ancient Hebrews, and they were all Egyptian instruments as established by ancient archaeology. But it has no. That's a massive claim. It has no.
That's pretty big, isn't it? So they
Yeah,
didn't go. So the Jews didn't have their own. Oh God, I hope this doesn't get clipped out. The people in. I'm just going to say Bethlehem, just to save me thinking harder.
the
They did
ancient Hebrews.
ancient Hebrews. That's the phrase. So they didn't have their own music shops. They used to go trotting off to
Well,
ancient Egypt.
they were enslaved by the Egyptian overlords. There were a lot of.
You're right.
Do you not know your Jesus history?
I remember it from that novel, the Bible. Um, yes, of course, but there's geographically that's all. I've been meaning to look into this since I was born. Might be a slight exaggeration, but how far is Hebrew people land and Egypt? Because they're not like next. They're across a sea, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. That's why Moses had to part the Red Sea. It's all facts.
It's all
All facts.
facts. All facts.
So you got to the point where they had instruments. So they had castanets. So that was quite fun. They had tambourines, trumpets, as we've established. They had string instruments. But the problem with this quote from Wikipedia is like it doesn't tell us which version of the Bible were the tunings the same, what scales did they play, how many notes in a scale, was it microtonal? You know what I mean by microtonal?
Yeah. So in between notes. So
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah. Microtones, I've written down here, microtones are notes between what the Western scale determines as a note. So the standard Western tuning produces 12 notes, 7 notes produces standard major or minor scale, the eighth is an octave, which is the same as the first note but higher, and the pentatonic scale is 5 notes. A lot of cultures actually have like pentatonic scales as the sort of the basic point.
I can give a demonstration of a pentatonic scale if you like.
Go on.
Okay.
Oh, let's have a music lesson then.
So it just happens to be the only scale I actually know. This is out of tune.
It's beautiful, man. I'm moved.
You're moved. So am I. I've had a move.
So, shall we listen to the first one?
So what is this? This the things you sent?
The bang. Let's listen to the Bangles. Walk like an Egyptian.
Oh, I mean, yeah, let's go for this. Any second now. It's gonna play.
Okay, we're gonna do one more. Yeah!
Yeah!
All the old paintings on the tomb, they do the sand dance, don't you know? If you move too quick, oh, they're falling down like a domino. All the buzz are men by the Nile, they got the money on a bet. Gold crocodiles, oh, they snap their teeth on your cigarette.
I'm gonna have to skip forward because it hasn't got like the payoff. It hasn't got. We need a bit of chorus, really, don't we?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can find it. This will be fun.
Oh, who's that?
Trays spin around and they cross the floor. They've got the moves, oh, you drop your drink, then they bring you more. All the school kids so sick of books, they like the funk in the middle bed. When the buzzer rings, oh, they're walking like an Egyptian. All the kids in the marketplace say, walk like an Egyptian.
It's a banger. I've got to say, I remember.
That's a
this
good
coming.
noise to end on as well.
I remember this actually. I remember it coming out because I'm ancient, and that is a banger of a tune.
So, can you ask your AI assistant what key that's in?
What key it's in?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey! What key is walk like an? I'm going to say it's probably C. Egyptian in. It's either E or C. B. B major. Okay,
B
miles
major.
off.
Well, do you think the ancient Egyptians used B major?
I don't know much about their wasps, their bees, their insect life, or anything. Sorry, that's like a military flying insect. B major.
So, I've got two fun facts about this. The Woke Police, Clear Channel, and the BBC have both found the song to be of questionable taste and decided it would best not be played at two different times. The BBC thought it best not be played during the first Gulf War around 1990, and Clear Channel thought best not be played after the 9/11 attacks.
So Clear Channel is an advertising company, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but they own loads of radio stations in America.
Ah, that makes sense. There was loads of weird things. So we played a bit of KLF on the last episode, on the Echo and the Bunnyman episode, and the 3AM Eternal, they had to edit the start of it because it's got machine gun noises on it, which now makes me wonder if that's why they went on with machine guns at the Brit Awards. Anyway.
Other Clear Channel, I got into the Clear Channel blacklisting. They blacklisted all Rage Against the Machine songs.
Yep.
So that's the link. Do you know what the other ones include? I just like it.
Other songs that Clear Channel
banned after the 9/11 attacks.
Oh God, Fuck Like a Beast by Wasp.
Well, TNT by AC/DC.
Oh God, okay, God.
Shoot to Thrill. Dio, Holy Diver.
Oh,
Van Halen, Jump.
oh, Jesus, this is bad. This is
Yeah.
This is so. I thought it was going to be a really pale list. No, this is bad.
Queen, Killer Queen. Pat Benatar, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. The Beatles, Obladi Oblada.
Why was that banned after 9/11?
And then the last one I've noted is Steam, Na 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 Na, Hey Hey.
I can only assume that was somebody in the Clear Channel office going, right, we've got to block all these, and someone thinking, do you know what? Like a lot of people,
Whilst we're here.
I've always hated Obladi Oblada. John Lennon called it grandma music. Let's just ban that one. Let's just get it on there.
I mean, I had a music teacher when I was very young who used to love the Beatles and just got us to sing Beatles songs as kids. But it would all be like the really, when I'm 64, which you can't really relate to as a 6-year-old.
No, but we did the same one thing at my school.
And then, yeah, Obladi Oblada. And then you realise, as you get older and you hear other Beatles songs, you go, oh, they actually did some good music as well.
I mean, their trajectory was bonkers. I mean, even the early stuff is still good. It's good pop, but not massively original. Then stuff like Tomorrow Never Knows, is that the right phrase? Is just that it holds up now. It's such an incredible piece of music, considering I think it was on either Rubber Soul or Revolver. I'm just dropping in a few inaccuracies because you're the fact guy this episode. So I've got to keep.
I'm not going to correct. I'm not going to. Far be it for me to correct someone when I'm on ropey grounds, because we're going to get into music theory.
Oh God! So I've always been interested by where did "Walk Like an Egyptian" by the Bangles come from? Because it doesn't even sound that much like other Bangles stuff. But I'm doing shifty eyes for the people on video, because didn't they also have a song about going to Liverpool? Were they just like writing?
I don't know very much about the Bangles. This is the only song I really know.
Liverpool to do nothing.
What about
the best days of my life?
So they then cover Ferry Across the Mersey.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
It's No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I think what I read is that they didn't write their own material, so this is just a banger that the label gave them.
They didn't. That's an outrageous thing.
It's pretty standard in pop music. One
of them hasn't aged. The woman playing the Rickenbacker in this clip literally hasn't aged. There's one thing I wanted to discuss about this video, because you're talking about the choices for it being banned after 9/11 or after the Iraq War. There are some notably odd choices for people they've put in this. So I'm going to play another little clip here and see if it sticks. Words fail me.
Is that why they banned it?
It's got Colonel Gaddafi in. I mean, at what point someone in an editing suite or someone in a management meeting went, what we need on there, right? Who we got? Well, we got Charles and Diana. We saw them earlier. What else do we need? We're a bit light on dictators. So who should we go for? Saddam Hussein? No, I tell you, who's got.
You see, in Egypt, he's Egypt adjacent. He's close enough.
Egypt adjacent, same continent. Right. They did write some songs, but not many.
It's a bit of a monkey's sort of aspect to it.
Eternal Flame, you must have heard of that. Sounds just like that.
If we had any sort of popular bass, that's going to go viral.
Right, I'll shut up now and let you carry on.
Do you want to play the Iron Maiden?
Oh, the Irons and the Maidens. Here we go. Any second now. My suspicions that might be an AI video for people watching this.
This is this part of this sort of new thing of like, we make popular songs, we now make music videos for, because they're songs that define these bands' careers in some ways. So do you think that? So they've gone heavy into the ancient Egyptian imagery. Do you think this is what something sounded like in ancient Egypt?
Do you know what? I'm going to say yes. Because
okay, good. I like where we're going. Can you play? What else did I ask you? Can you play the Nile sample?
Oh. is the most 90s metal I have heard for a long time.
That was like 2006.
Oh, is it really? That kick
Something like
drum's
that.
insanely loud.
But I mean, I love that album. It's a great album. That was Nile with Sarcophagus, and yeah, sometime in the early 2000s. And do you know what? So do you think that's sort of ancient Egyptian-y?
I kind of do, and the reason is that metal is attention-grabbing music, and it's music that cuts through. So if music is being played to communicate or to get the attention of someone, so horns, I'm going to have a complete guess and say that they came about because you can make yourself heard on the battlefield. So metal, I don't know if it's the rhythm or the riffs or the key they're in or what. Unveil it before me.
Shall we get into our music theory?
Go on then, let's do it.
Because you're not crazy into music theory, are you? Have you?
I've not got nothing against it. I just don't.
Not against it.
I've just never. I have needed it when I make electronic music. That's when I had to learn some music theory. But on the whole, my rule is I look at where the guitarist's index finger is and I play my bass in the same place.
So the Iron Maiden song Powerslave, according to a debate on maidenfans.com, this song is in A Phrygian dominant.
Right.
Do you know what that means? Do you know any of those? I'm going to say you'll understand what A is. Do you know which?
You lost me after A.
Which
Everything
is
that
the-
came after A.
Which is the A string on your guitar?
Well, depending on tuning.
Yeah.
This is in E standard, so it's there.
Yeah, it's the second string down.
Yeah.
So it starts there. If you want the first three notes of this scale, Andrew, pick up the guitar.
Ooh, this is good. I'm liking
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Go on then.
So open string, 1, 4. So you get that. Yeah.
This is quite fun. I'm going to tune this quickly in case I have to do something else. God, you feel for a bit. Oh God, it's in D standard. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that
it
sounded
was
a
in
bit too
drums.
low. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
in D, not D, not It was out of tune. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
So I really had to get into like music theory for this, and I couldn't really avoid it. So we have a lot of some videos to show people later when Andrew stops tuning his guitar.
This is a new low, I think.
So there's a standard Phrygian mode. Do you want the standard Phrygian scale?
Yeah, I'm going to play the other one properly now because
Yeah.
I'm actually in tune.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, oh God, no, I can absolutely hear. There's something Middle Eastern drifting in there.
Yeah, and that's sort of through our associations in a way. This scale does exist in Middle Eastern music in their own music theory, but it gets more complicated. So this is the Phrygian dominant scale, and it's different from the Phrygian scale. The Phrygian scale is basically the same, but with a major third instead of a minor third. Although this is with a major third, it gets confusing.
This is why I don't spend a lot of time trying to learn music theory. It gets
But-
confusing.
Yeah, we have this. It's got this augmented second, basically, which means the second note of the scale is to us it sounds exotic because it's not something we play a lot. There are other modes. Do you want to know what the other modes are?
Do I ever?
There's the Lydian.
Oh,
Lydia.
no, I do know Lydian.
Yeah. The Lydia was a kingdom in Turkey around 600 BC. There's the Dorian. The Dorian were one of the 4 major Hellenic ethnic groups of
This is
ancient Greece.
amazing. I genuinely had no idea. These are absolutely buttons that I've seen enabled in my
Yeah.
software. No, I do know, have heard of them.
There's Mixolydian, which is from ancient Greek music theory, but there's not a single people called the Mixolydians. There's Aeolian, again, who's a people uh, around what was modern day Turkey, and there's the Locrian, ancient Greek peoples again. So
That's wild.
to the ancient Greeks, this scale apparently was nothing to do with Egypt. It was Phrygian. So the Phrygian people they occupied what is now sort of Turkey. It was their version of it. To the Greek ear, apparently, it sounds like Phrygian war music.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where are the Phrygians from again?
Around Turkey.
Yeah, and okay, that so they would have heard that. It's not a billion miles away, is it?
Yeah, and they were and they were Europeans who moved to they were people who migrated to ancient Turkey around 12,000 BC.
Go on.
But the scale does exist in like sort of Middle Eastern and North African music theory. Apparently, it's called the Hijaz Makam, and it's both used by Jews and Muslims for religious purposes. But it's also found in flamenco music and traditional Spanish music more widely. It's also found in northern India and so on. And a lot of pop and rock, when it wants to be a bit exotic, this is what it uses, because it's sort of the simplest way of keeping a standard tuning and playing something that sounds microtonal to our ears.
So I was nodding there. I keep forgetting that some of this goes out on audio only.
And should we explore the differences between the different things a bit? So if you want to play one of the videos I sent you, we can figure out what that is.
Okay, I'm going to play these in order. The ones you sent me on 6. Can you hear that train going past?
Yeah, there's a
really
lot of
loud.
background noise. Yeah.
It's a load of shipping containers. Probably going to Egypt. Bloody hell, it's like the longest train ever. Right, let's play number 1. Is that
You know
your
that?
hand? Is that your
Yeah.
hand?
That's my hand.
I've never noticed how hairy your little finger is. I'm going to have to play it again. I was distracted by your little finger. Hang on. Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, da.
Do you know what key that was?
Do you know what? Even though I've just watched a video of your hand playing it on a keyboard, and I've played keyboards on stage, I do not know what key it was, because I don't know whether... unless I write them onto the keys, I don't know which notes are which.
I kept it really simple for myself because it's the C scale. It's the C major.
Ah, see...
Now, play the next video.
Ooh, dramatic.
That's the Phrygian. So that's not the Phrygian dominant, that's the Phrygian. Next video.
Wow, you've done actual research. This is amazing. It sounds edgy. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
can think. It's got a tenseness to it.
It's something to do with the relationship between the root note, the second, and the third. If you play the second video... Oh, no, hold on. Keep going. Let's see what else I recorded. I can't remember at this point.
Yeah, this recording's supposed to have happened a while ago. Sorry about that. Video 4.
So that's the first 3 notes of each scale played next to one another. And you can sort of hear the difference. Like, there's a thing that happens with the C major just sounds, like we're used to that sound. The second one starts to sound exotic, but then gets drowned again by that minor third, which is but it's the major third, keeping the third in the same place, that weirdly makes our brain bring the exoticism between the second and the third.
Honest to God, I have really tried to learn music theory. I'm very flippant about kind of not getting it and whatever. And in the context of in a band, I mean, my band End Times playing like 6/8 or something. Fuck knows. I just literally and my new band that we just recorded an album with, we've only got one bit of one song that's in 4/4. Everything else is in what I think of as erotic timings. but scales and stuff I've learned a little bit, because that's how you know when you're writing, that's how you know what works. But because I've only learned the platonic scale, the pentatonic, I can only write stuff that sounds like Green Day if I'm playing chords. So I am genuinely interested by this, Sam. This is actually like, as a 50-year-old man, this is the first time I've kind of gone, this is interesting. This is like, it's like adding more tools to a toolkit.
Do you know how the modes work?
Not a fucking clue. I don't even know what a mode is.
So if you take a major scale, right? You learn how to play a major scale.
I'm a bassist, so I've only got major notes.
No,
it's not that, is it? Sorry, that's really throwing you, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, you play a scale. So you go back to that first video. So there are... Thank you, Sam. There are...
Thank you, Sam, and your finger.
So there are seven different notes of where to start the scale. Every time you start the scale at one of those different notes, it gives you a different feeling to it, the way, because of the relationship between the notes and how they're placed together. So you learn a major scale, you've basically learned pretty much every standard scale there is to learn, because you just need to start at, if you want to make things, so the Phrygian is the fifth, it starts on the fifth note of the scale, which is the dominant note in Western theory. I don't know why it's dominant though. I couldn't really be bothered to go that deep. And so you've learned all the modes basically, and so having that just opens up how you can write music, because you don't always have to go for like these just sort of standard major or minor. You can go for you can write something in Dorian or Lydian or
it's the idea
Locrian.
that the first parts of the scale set up the vibe of it is absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah. So let's keep going. Let's see what else I played.
Have we had number 5 yet? I don't think we have. Let's find out.
That's the difference between the fifths of the major scale and the Phrygian scale.
Let's have it again. Okay.
There's like a tension there. I think the second one is the Phrygian. And keep going. Let's keep going. I have no idea where this ends.
Number 6.
Last one.
Number 6. Oh, different view.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a lovely, lovely jazz chord, basically.
This is basically where all jazz comes from. All difficult jazz.
That was quite. So I got that chord from Wikipedia, and they said that's quite a standard practice. Like jazz really likes the Phrygian and the Phrygian dominant keys because they're a bit quirky and they sound a bit sexy, and so that was a chord. I can't remember what chord it is, but it's you can hear the sort of the mystery in it. It's quite good. And I just like the sound of it, so I wanted to play it
again. Shall we?
Yeah.
I like the pause at the beginning of the video for tension.
Someone's going to be, if anybody who actually can play the piano is going to be sees these videos, they're going to be screaming at me for my absolute lack of technique. So weirdly, for whatever reason, while the scale, the Phrygian dominant, exists throughout sort of the world and in different musical contexts and different musical cultures, it has been associated now with us through the West, with ancient Egypt, and you can hear it, and it has been used like in the 1930s was used in a film to donate in like a classical Hollywood film, and it continues to be used. And Powerslave was from the 1980s, and Nile, who are they've been going for like over 30 years, but they're still quite a relevant modern band.
I very much remember Nile from the 96, 97 era. I worked with a guy called Dan. I won't dox him. A guy called Dan, and he played in a band called Failed Humanity, who used to. Several of the members ended up joining Extreme Noise Terror, and they were signed to a label, Metal Blade, possibly. But anyway, and he and I worked together. We worked together quite a lot. We were doing support work, people with learning disabilities, and it's already dated. The only way you could listen to music in your car was with a tape player.
Yeah.
And he had a Fiesta, or a Ford Festa, as we called it. So you had the tape player, and then the speakers were in the doors, and the doors were only about 2 or 3 centimetres thick. So the speakers were really shallow, and everything sounded shit. And once you got over 20 miles an hour, everything sounded the same. But he loved Nile, and I wasn't into metal at all at the time. And each time he played it to me, it just sounded like the road noise of a Ford Fiesta. So like actually hearing it then, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go look at that. I just assumed they were black metal with a name like Nile.
No, they suffered a bit from like the over digitalization of and cheapness of like I'd say early 2000s production, where all the bands stopped. A lot of bands without a budget started using computers more than they used. A lot more, and the sound of some of their records is really. That actually sounded pretty good, but some of their stuff just sounds so digital.
That kick sounds like there's a kick by one band that's apparently used by loads of other bands of the period. And I remember same guy Dan, his drummer sitting in the studio, which is Springvale, which was run by a guy called Mark Harwood Fairfax, who was gentry. He was genuinely related to Fairfax, Cromwell's right hand man. And they recorded an album, and then the drummer Zach used to have to digitally cut out every single kick and replace it with I wish I could remember the name of the band. There was some band that everyone used that kick, and it sounded like that one in that Nile clip.
Yeah, it makes production sound so boring. Play The Offspring, because that's quite a fun one.
This one took so long to prepare, it just would not work. Sorry, pad for a bit. I've got to find it. The Offspring.
So.
Oh, got it. Yep. Sorry, good padding. Efficient.
So.
Literally sounds like every Offspring song ever, apart from the beginning.
I love that era of the first 3-4 albums of the Offspring, or maybe the second to fourth or something like that. I have a lot of time for. I really liked them back then when I was a young man. So, but it's really interesting because they're one of the few examples I found very easy to pick out a use of the Phrygian dominant scale where they were not making any reference whatsoever to ancient Egypt. So, and I think that's, it's a song about like kids taking guns to school, and so
wasn't a problem, guns in schools in ancient Egypt.
No, it wouldn't seem so. So let's get back to the topic at hand. So one of the problems we're facing here is that we're talking about 3,000 years of history. Of course, 3,000 years of history isn't going to be summed up by any one scale, and we don't have any idea of the scales they actually used. We have ideas of the instruments, but we have no idea how those instruments were tuned. Just Lyrics
I'm
just
I'm
changed.
I'm just trying to get rid of it. I think I've got to finish playing it. There we go. It's disappeared.
Thank you. So we're talking about we're talking about quite a long time period of history, 3,000 years. So there's and the fact that the scale is found, in so many places, it's highly likely that the Egyptians would have used it, but
How
that
does
doesn't
scales
mean
get
there's any.
passed on? I mean, obviously, you're passing these scales on to me in an incredibly modern way, but music wasn't even notated until a certain time, was it?
We will get there. We will get there. No, it wasn't. It wasn't notated, and it's interesting that a lot of our music theory uses terminology that derives from ancient Greek, and but it is also sort of ridiculous. It's a bit like the Viking stuff. It's a bit ridiculous to say that the culture. You think about how many different expressions of music our current day has. Like it may not have been as sort of endless, but all these cultures would have a variety of different expressions of music. Let's play the next one. The next one's crazy. Dog barking, the barking dog sextet.
Canine wisdom. Okay, this is definitely. Oh, hang on. This is definitely.
You haven't finished.
What?
This is definitely.
No, Sam, no, that's wrong.
Every time I listen, it's like I've paid quite a lot of money to see bands sound like that in Cafe Oso in London.
No, Sam.
So this was music composed in the I think 1950s or 1960s. I should have taken more note of it when it was actually composed by a guy called Halim El-Dab, who was a Coptic Egyptian, an American-based composer, pioneer of electronic music, your favorite form of music.
I like it, just to be clear. But no, it's metal. It's just there's no denying it's metal.
He wrote this based on what he thought was ancient Egyptian musical notation.
So the cover of that, for people who were on audio only, there was what I'm assuming was notation in the forms of shapes and colours and different sizes and things. And I can remember learning. I can remember a music class when I was at high school. It must have been only the first or second year, and it wasn't even in the music room. It was in one of the language rooms. And it's the only music lesson I ever had that actually really connected to me, because Mr. Bramall, I think I went out with his daughter briefly. Anyway, oh yeah, Polly. Anyway, so completely irrelevant. Don't worry about that. Ignore that for now. He taught us rhythm by just clapping, by doing rhythmic hand clapping and getting us to copy. And the other thing he showed us on the blackboard is how to notate music according to visual cues. Well, staves are visual, but shapes and things. And that still makes total sense to me. It absolutely does.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of electronic music nowadays where you sort of you might, or not electronic, experimental music where you sort of might have notation and it's in this shape of a form, and you sort of follow those forms down and so on and so forth. There's a lot of this stuff has really come on, recently. But so this notation, if it is notation, was discovered in a manuscript that was thought to have papyrus, that thought to have, it was discovered in the 1930s in someone's cupboard in America.
So of course, where else would a papyrus?
But this guy, the family who had it, if my memory serves correctly, was Coptic Egyptian.
What does Coptic mean?
Catholic Egyptian. So they are one of the first tribes of Catholicism conversed.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So they go way back to like the first century, and yeah, as you said, the notation was different size circles on a manuscript, and some people interpreted the circles to be celestial bodies, so stars and planets and stuff. And all these people, they have it verified by ancient Egyptian scholars, and they said, "Yep, this looks like something there to do with that." And so he composed music in relationship to these shapes that was found on this papyrus. But the problem is that even if it was a real manuscript, it was originally attributed to the 5th century, which is 500 years after ancient Egypt had fallen, and even longer after it actually had been under self-rule, because first came the Persians and then came the ancient Egyptians. But so it's really interesting that people are sort of this is someone who's taking sort of, I guess, what they believe is a part of their own culture and redoing it. So but the story of the manuscript's actually weirder. There are apparently, they had it carbon dated. There are some pages from the 5th century.
Wow.
And there are others from the 15th century.
Right.
And it might have just been some old paper some kid had actually started. So no one knows what actually was the idea behind it, but this is sort of someone going, this is how Egypt sort of takes over the imagination. Ancient Egypt takes over the imagination. It's like it just sort of becomes into sort of these interpretations. And you can another great one. So play the Sun Ra one. That's good as well.
When you ask me to play something, you might as well just take it as written that I need some padding. But I have found this one. We should do an episode on Sun Ra.
Oh, God, that's a
Sam one.
That's a Sam one, and that one's a lot of research.
That'd be
okay.
Cool. I'm really enjoying that. Fuck knows if anyone's going to listen to these, but compared to us choosing 4 songs each and talking shit for an hour, which is also fun, I'm really enjoying these kind of researched episodes.
So this is cool, but it also tells us more about ancient Egypt in the imagination really sort of dominates, and we can't really remove our own cultures and modern Egyptian culture from our interpretation of what the music may have sounded like. But we do have one thing that is supposed to have been the burial hymn, or not a burial hymn, it is a burial hymn now, but it is like the gutting music when the pharaoh died. Do you want to play that one? This is Golgotha. Music. Apparently, according to Coptic Catholics, that is a pharaoh embalming music.
Knife goes in, guts come out. Knife goes in, guts come out.
The fun thing is, apparently, this thing can be played in this hymn, as we would call it now, can be played in C major.
So something that only just occurred to me is that we're talking about that being music that's played during an embalming process. Obviously, they're not just putting in a mini disc and listening to it. God, like how much an orchestra do you have in the room while someone's doing the whole knife goes in, guts go out thing?
Well, I guess it's a religious ceremony that they're going through, so they would probably have like a chorus of people there doing it. And
try not to retch.
yeah, and there is certainly something about it that might have been passed down for 2,000 years, oral history sort of stuff, but there's also this aspect of like we don't know how much that has changed, because it's very hard to know when it was first written down. And writing down has, it's not like we can then. I'm not saying that when we write things down, it somehow elevates it and becomes preserved an aspect, but it does help us understand how these things may have changed. Whereas when we have oral history, we don't really know how these stories have changed over the periods of time and how these things have changed. But this is apparently actually, music that can be dated. But of course, but the thing is, we get really simplistic about it because it's not. That's a religious piece of music in both cases, both in the ancient Egyptian and the Coptic Catholic one, and we're talking about 3,000 years of history, and then we're talking about another 2,000 years of history on top of that to then record it and give us what we can hear today. So 5,000 years of history, shit's going to change a little bit. Come on, yeah. So.
Why don't we know? Do we know as much about? I know you've not researched it, but Greek music obviously probably is knowledge about, because you've talked about that's where a lot of the names for the scales come from. But like German music is like Scandinavian, like just we covered the Vikings in a previous episode, but I'm really fascinated by the fact, why are we so obsessed with the Egyptians? I mean, is it just, I hate to say it, is it the British ruling the Egyptians for a while? Like, is it a hangover of empire, or is it just because they're cool? Why are they cool? We know so little about anyone who wasn't rich.
I have no idea. This is. I think they're a mystery that to us that they left so many monuments, but also it wasn't just the British that were into it. The French were crazy into Egypt, but
they didn't nick as much of it as we did.
It's a bit like the Vikings. There is like a culture that goes back to basically Napoleon, and the British Empire, that is Egyptomania, that creates these ideas of what it was actually like. So to actually understand what it was like is really hard for someone who's not an academic, for someone who's not invested in it. It's really hard to actually sort of start to get an idea without the assumptions that we put in.
But there are things about Egyptology, Egypt, that are very easy to wrap your head around, at least on a visual scale. Fucking great big pyramids. Wow, that's interesting. Why is that there? More so than perhaps some parts of medieval history where there's not something that's quite so tangible. There are periods of history where things were really, really interesting if you understand why they're interesting in the context. But anyone can point at like the pyramids or Stonehenge for that matter and go, that's big, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's monument. It's literally monumental.
Nicely done.
And yeah, so yeah, it's weird, but it's also it's weird. I find it. I mean, for me, the last two ones I've done, this is more about like how we've, like what do we know about the original source, and at what point do we depart from the original source, and it's just the imagination of the modern that comes into sort of like coloring it. Like, I know the guy behind Nile does a lot of reading around ancient Egypt. I doubt that Bruce Dickinson or whoever wrote the Powerslave did that much reading. I mean, Iron Maiden are much more comic book than historical, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're sort of the Richard Kipling of heavy metal.
the Richard Kipling,
What's it called? Ruddy Kipling.
Rudyard.
Rudyard.
Rudyard. It's one of those commonly missaid one. Like people say Ronald Dahl, and it's Roald Dahl.
Yeah. Well, I was reading Ish yesterday.
Sorry, Richard Kipling.
Richard Kipling.
He makes great cakes.
He does make cake. I like his fish fingers.
Rudyard Kipling's fish fingers. There you go. Sorry, I've thrown you off track there, God.
No, it's just that I haven't really gone. It's just, to me, it's the representation that is just really interesting about how these things have become and how they're being used, and they sort of they stick within our imagination, and also movies, they're great settings for movies, so that's another reason why they stay in our mind.
And yeah, it's really all based on what was the very top strata of society. But a lot of history is because us poor folk just chuck stuff away. It doesn't get it does get recorded now on
No,
I
yeah.
suppose, yeah.
But, I mean, this is the thing, is that I don't envy future historians when they look at how much information is. They're probably just going to go, I'm just going to go to the ancient Egyptian stuff because at least there's a limit to it.
At least it's finite, yeah.
I really don't care about Dave from, Bedfordshire, who's just had a really satisfying shit and has decided to tweet about it.
Oh man, yeah. Let's just churn out as much crap as we can. I mean, I don't know what a future academic's going to make a beat motel. Right. Are we done? Is that it? Are we finished?
That's it. Yeah.
Was there a conclusion? Just interesting in it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. We do have, unlike the Vikings, we do have an idea of what a song that comes directly from it, but it is also ridiculous to sum up 3,000 years of history in one song.
Fun though. Right, next time it's an Andrew episode, and we are going to be looking at the small faces.
Oh, all the small faces.
All the small faces, from ones 2 centimeters tall to ones.
What about shrunken heads? Is that?
Right. Got to play the end theme music. Please comment on this. I mean, you do everywhere. Everyone comments on the shorts to tell us we're wrong. But thanks for listening. Get ready to dance.